Okay guys, here we are. The Dwarves about to take on the Lizards, which are looking just about as grey as last time I saw them. These ones are nice though. And then... Anyway, I'll give you the Dwarf list first of all. We have my General here. He has 2 runes of iron, so he has +1 wound and +1 toughness. And he has the rune of might, so if he's against anything of toughness 5 or higher, then he doubles his strength, which is a bit tasty. Next to him we have the Battle Standard Bearer, who has the Master Rune of Gromril, so he just has a 1+ save that can't be improved. We have this Runesmith here. He has the Master Rune of Balance, so there's a chance I'll steal one of his dice in the magic phase, and also the Rune of Spellbreaking, which is basically a dispel scroll. Then there's an Engineer who doesn't have anything special about him at all. He is very useful though. Over here we've got the Gyrocopter with the Brimstone gun, so I've never tried that out before. Then we've got these 20 hand weapon and shield dwarf warriors, nothing special about them. 20 iron breakers with some suspicious gaps in the unit for characters, and they have the rune of stoicism, so they're stubborn. Then we have 30 great weapon dwarf warriors with a gap for a character there. 15 thunderers with a champion and a musician. 10 iron drakes with the master rune of slowness ×2. So anyone who wants to charge them is going to take away the highest number from 2 dice from their charge distance. Lovely. Then we've got the Grudge Thrower, which has the Rune of Accuracy, so I can re-roll the Scatter Dice, and the Rune of Penetrating to give it +1 strength. Then there's the Cannon, with the Rune of Forging, so I can re-roll the artillery dice. And finally the Organ Gun, which is heavily tooled up, that has the Rune of Accuracy, so it gets +1 ballistic skill, and the Rune of Forging, so I can re-roll the misfires on artillery dice. Lovely. Now then, we've got the maniacal hordes of the Lizardmen. What have you got for us today?
Right. Got Sour Soulblood, of course. Slam Mage Priest, which I've not got on the table yet. Suicidal Pterodon Rider.
I think he's taken a wound already.
Yep. We've got Asaurus Scarfet with Standard Bearer. And then we've got some Saurus Warriors, Saurus Warriors, Skink Skirmishers, 24 of them. Then we have got some Cold One Cap, nothing special in there. We've got 3 Ripidactyl Riders, 3 Pterodon Riders, we've got 19 Temple Guard, and just an ordinary Stegodon, but I'm going to have to use this because the other one isn't made up yet. And last but least, a Salamander Hunting Pack.
Ooh.
Ooh. So, let's do this!
Deployment. On the Lizardmen side, we have all the flyers over there. Skinks, Sauruses, Stegodon, whatever that is. What is that? A salamander?
Yep.
Skink Priest out on his own, with a big target on him. Temple Guard with the Slan behind. Skinks. Cold One Cavalry behind the Skinks. And Sauruses. And on the Dwarf side, over at this end, all on its own, we have the Cannon. See how much he's willing to put into taking that out. Gyrocopter. Then towards the middle we have the Iron Breakers, featuring the Runesmith and the General. We have the Thunderers behind a wall. Grudge Thrower there. The Great Weapons with the Battle Standard. The Organ Gun with the Engineer behind it, of course. and weapon and shield dwarves, and the iron drakes. So, see the entire battlefield there. And dwarves have the first turn. For the lizard spells, the skink priest, with the Law of the Heavens, got Ice Shard Blizzard. And the slan got Throne of Vines, the Dwellers Below, oh dear, Earth Blood, and Awakening of the Wood. Dwarf movement phase. Look at all this.
Cowards!
No movement at all, apart from the gyrocopter, who's just moved up to be within range to fire his brimstone gun at something over there. And that's it. Okay, dwarf shooting phase. The iron drakes were out of range. The organ gun, with one of its rerolls, managed to get 20 shots against these sauruses here. And killed 10 of them. So I don't think the Maniac here is too fond of the organ gun at this point. Killed off half the unit there. You'll see that the Stegodon has lost most of its wounds. That's because a cannonball landed straight on its head and took most of them off. The Grudge Thrower fired into these Temple Guard here and took out 4 of them. And the Gyrocopter's Brimstone gun was ineffective in its shooting at those sauruses. So, with no magic or combat to speak of, it's time for the Lizardmen's turn. Lizardmen movement phase, they're not messing about. The pterodons and ripidactyls. The various dactyls have come forward over here. The skinks just behind them. The sauruses that have been horribly depleted have come forward. Stegodon hasn't. Is he supposed to be moving?
No.
Okay, the Stegodon's
He's
just
got
sitting
range
there.
36.
He's just going to sit there and fire his big bow then, is he?
Mm-hmm.
Salamanders come forward. Temple Guard. Skink Priest. And the Slan. And then those guys have come forward as well. Closing the distance. Lizardmen magic. Now, the Skink Priest cast Ice Shard Blizzard on the Thunderers. So they're going to be -1 to hit next turn. And then the Slan cast Throne of Vines on himself. Successfully. And with that success, the Stegodon grew one of its wounds back, so maybe it won't be quite so scared next turn. Lizardmen shooting phase. The Stegodon wound back its giant bow that isn't represented on this particular model, and it missed. Dwarf movement phase. They've just decided to camp out for this turn. Not going forward too far at all. And the gyrocopter's just shuffled a little bit. Not too exciting. Shooting phase might be better. Dwarf magic phase. What? Dispelled Throne of Vines. The end. Another somewhat eventful dwarf shooting phase.
Yeah.
The Iron Drakes shot at these, I believe these are the Ripidactyls.
I just don't care anymore. Pterodactyls.
One of the dactyls took a casualty and then flew away in terror after the Iron Drakes did their business. The organ gun, as you can see, again, didn't even need a reroll this time. 20 shots into the Temple Guard. 7 of them explode. The Thunderers didn't have much luck shooting with this -1 curse on them, so they didn't even do anything to the Salamander. You may notice a Stegodon-shaped hole there in the Lizardmen battle line. That's because the cannon over here took a second shot at it, and it just exploded all over the place. There's bits of Stegodon raining down on the Lizardmen around it. And the Brimstone gun failed to do anything again. I think you may go back to the template next time. Okay, Lizardmen magic phase. First of all,
Don't laugh.
the Dwellers Below was cast on these great weapon warriors with irresistible force. 17 of them are dead. They passed the Legit test, they're not going anywhere. Then, the miscast took out 2 Cold One Cavalry and 1 Temple Guard. It was the Dimensional Cascade. And you may notice that the Slan is making his way over to the corpse pile over there. Yep, he got sucked into this Dimensional Cascade and completely disappeared. So that's his General and Battle Standard and Main Caster.
I've got a Battle Standard left.
Have you?
Yeah.
Oh, he's got a separate Battle Standard for this game. But his Slan has disappeared. Was it worth it to kill 17 dwarves? I think not.
I don't think I'll be able to do that again.
He could still turn it round, though.
How?
He's got a chance. Oh, and now his men are falling off their bases. Blue tack is not enough to hold this army together. It was the magic of the Slan that was holding him up, and now that he's gone... it's not looking good. Lizardmen shooting phase. The Skinks shot at the gyrocopter, and it had no effect. The Salamander shot its fiery breath over here, and killed 6 Thunderers, and then failed to wound the Grudge Thrower. And these Skinks over here fired, and got quite a lot of poisoned hits at the Iron Drakes, and ended up killing 3 of them. So that was quite tasty. Maybe it's turning round for the Lizardmen. Lizardmen combat the Ripperdactyls, didn't do any wounds against the organ gun, and then they took one themselves, so it's a draw. They're tying up the organ gun at least, so there's not going to be any double 10s next turn. Maybe the turn after that, we'll see. Movement phase. The gyrocopter flew over there and dropped a bomb, and it killed the Saurus. Woo! The Iron Breakers shifted a little bit, preparing to take on these guys when they come in, if they're not shot to death. And over here, the Great Weapons charged into these Ripperdactyls to help the organ gun. And these warriors attempted to charge on the Skinks, but didn't make it, so they just go there, plonked in no man's land. And one of them was killed by the stand and shoot as well. Maybe that's what slowed them down. Shooting phase. The Iron Drakes kill a Skink. Whoop-de-doo. Thunderers. Did they kill any... Yeah, they killed the Skink Priest.
Yep.
So that was nice. The Grudge Thrower killed a few of those Sauruses over there.
5.
And the cannon shot straight through the side of the Cold One Cavalry and killed 4 of them.
Yeah, do you just want to take a look at this corpse pile?
Yeah, there's the Lizard corpse pile so far.
Yep.
And if we zoom over here to the Dwarf corpse pile, still quite a few, but no complete units yet.
Camping.
Dwarf combat phase. A brave organ gun crewman was cut down in his prime by the Dactyls, and then the Great Weapons came in and just wiped them all out. Lizardmen looking a bit thin on the ground. Let's see what they can do with their turn 3. Lizardmen movement phase. These Dactyls flew over here. The Skinks edged over a bit. Got some charge action here. These normal Sauruses, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
Went into this Great Weapon Warrior unit. All these guys have come forward a bit. And the Cold One Cavalry charged into the Iron Breakers. And those guys edged towards the cannon as well, ready to get grape shot in the face. Lizardy shooting. These Skinks here fired 4 poison shots into the damaged organ gun. So, all the crew are dead. Just the engineer there on his own. And over here, the Salamander killed a single Thunderer with his flaming breath. I'm not sure it's going to be enough to turn the tide, but we'll know after the combat phase, I think. Lizardmen combat. They did quite a few casualties to the Dwarves, only took 1 back. The Dwarves held their ground though. There's a challenge here going on between the Battle Standard Bearer and the Old Blood. They didn't do anything to each other. Over here, yep, the Cold One Cavalry have disappeared. They charged into the Iron Breakers, and they only had 1 left at the end of it. They only killed 2 in return, and then they got caught by the short, stumpy legs of the Dwarves. How embarrassing. Dwarf turn 4 movement phase. The Iron Drakes have spun round on the spot, ready to shoot at those dactyls. Dwarf warriors charged into the skinks here. They lost 1 from the stun and shoot. These guys didn't do anything. What else? Oh, yeah, the Iron Breakers, who pursued the cold ones over there, were now in charge range of those Sauruses. They charged them. And the Gyrocopters flown over here, ready to harass that unit there. Shooting, the Iron Drakes fired at the dactyls and killed one. The other one ran away, just avoiding going off the board. Over here, the Thunderers shot at the Salamander and didn't do anything. The Grudge Thrower shot at the Salamander and it scattered and killed a Thunderer. And the Cannon shot at the Salamander and did a couple of wounds to it. So all that for very little reward. Combat phase. The Iron Breakers chased over those Sauruses over there. There's only a few of them left. They just managed to outrun me though. Over here, this combat continues on. So the Sauruses lost, but they did pass their break test. And over here, these warriors ran down the skinks that they defeated. And with that, our Lizardman general, despite being cold-blooded, has decided that it's a bit of a hopeless cause at this point, and it's getting late. He's taken enough of a beating for one day, apparently. He's just over there putting all his corpses away. I'll get a nice zoom in on that. Nice KR multi-case there, full of corpses.
It doesn't have my name on it though.
So, would I just get a left-handed handshake in there on the camera?
I'd rather not.
Yeah, you would, come on.
No.
It's been extended. Right.
I hate you sometimes.
Thoughts?
Pass. I hate Dwarfs. Organ gun. 20 shots twice. Just, no. I need some dwarf beating material.
I'm thinking maybe a second slan.
I've got a second slam. Look at that.
Get some more magic in there.
Ooh. Fine cast.
Oh dear. That's not going to last long then, is it? Not in this temperatures in here. It's just going to melt.
Does feel a bit squidgy. But, saying that though, well, I was going to say no holes, but...
Also, I'm sure if you head on over to some of the Lizardmen forums, they'll be able to tell you which magic items are very useful for the slam.
Yeah. Well, I did prepare my list about 5 minutes before I set off.
Yeah, he's known about the game for about a month and made his list 5 minutes before he set off, so he is a true wargamer.
Yep. Yep.
Well, from my point of view, I don't think the organ gun's going to repeat that first 2-turn performance again. Chances of that are quite astronomical. Everything else did its job nicely. At this points level, I kind of have to take a shooty army like that because I just don't have that many combat units. But I am painting some hammerers at the moment, so I'll be able to take a slightly more combat-orientated army in the future at 2,500 points.
Don't camp. Another top tip.
If I was camping, I would have put myself right in this corner over here, so you would have only had a few inches to attack. That would have been fun, wouldn't it?
No.
Maybe I'll try that one next time.
I'll put it past you.
See you next time, ladies and gentlemen.